Welcome, dreamers. Tonight we dive into one day at the Battle of Thermopylae. As a Spartan warrior on the final line. The wind hits first, sharp and sour like it remembers every man who ever died here. It comes through the mountain pass just before dawn, tugging at my cloak, raising goosebumps on skin already calloused by sun and salt. I keep my feet planted, toes gripping the uneven stone beneath me. The ground is dry, cracked in places, but there's moisture in the air, something hot and sulfurous that clings to the tongue like an unspoken warning. You probably won't survive this, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? You're not just hearing this story, you're living it. Right here, right now, through someone else's eyes. The cliff walls rise to either side like closing jaws. Even the birds won't fly through this pass anymore. Not after yesterday. Not after what they saw or smelled. A few crows circled earlier, bold little things. But they're gone now. I wonder where they sleep when it begins. If it begins. Leonidas hasn't moved yet, but I can feel his stillness the way you feel a stone in your shoe. Present, grounding, absolute. He stands just ahead, face turned toward the far end of the pass, where the Persians will come again. Not if, when. He doesn't speak. He rarely does. But when he breathes in, we all do. When he shifts his weight, so do we. We've become something other than men, less than individuals, more than parts. We are the line. We are the edge that holds. The spear in my hand feels lighter today. Not because I've grown stronger, but because I've grown tired of its weight. My fingers wrap around the familiar leather grip like it's the handle of a memory I can't let go. The shield presses into my forearm, solid, scratched, dependable. It carries dents from battles I no longer remember. Some aren't even mine. Passed down, passed across. No one owns anything in this line. We just borrow time. The silence stretches long between us. There's no talking now. No final words. The thespians behind us whisper prayers, soft ones, shaped like questions. The kind of words you murmur when you know no one's listening anymore. I don't judge them. I used to, but not now. Not when the sun starts to rise in that slow, golden spill across the mountain rim, and the first shadows stretch like fingers reaching across the pass. I tilt my head and listen. It's faint at first, like a heartbeat behind the clouds. Drums, low, measured, relentless. The sound rolls through the stones and into the soles of my feet. I shift slightly, rolling the ball of 1 foot back. That's all I allow myself. One adjustment, one breath, one glance at the narrow strip of horizon beyond the walls, and then I see it. Not men, not yet, but the dust they carry with them. A slow cloud rising like smoke from a city not yet burning. They're marching, and soon they'll arrive. They always do. Someone near me clears their throat too loudly. Another one fidgets. A few helmets turn, the faintest scrape of bronze on bronze. We all hear it, but no one reacts. That's how you survive here, by pretending you've already died. I lock eyes with the shield beside mine. Not the person, just the edge of their hoplon. It's battered, painted red once maybe, but the color's faded now, more rust than war. Still, it presses into mine with confidence. And that's enough. I don't need to know who they are. I just need to know they won't break before I do. There's a strange comfort in that. The rumble grows louder. Not the drums now, but footsteps. thousands of them, tens of thousands. They don't try to hide. They want us to hear, want us to imagine the wave before it crests. I imagine it, every time, and I still haven't decided if that makes me a coward or just careful. The sun climbs higher, slow and heavy like it regrets rising. Light spreads across the pass, revealing things best left hidden. Stains on the rocks, pieces of armor buried in dust, a broken sandal, a child's carving on the stone. How did that get there? Did someone bring it here? Was it dropped? Left on purpose? And if so, why? I shouldn't be thinking about that. But I am. And that's what worries me. My grip on the spear tightens. Still the king doesn't move. Still the silence holds. That's our strength. Not the steel. Not the training. The stillness. The calm. The refusal to panic even as the sky begins to fill with the first shapes of men. Rows and rows, crested helmets glinting, spears upright like a field of cruel reeds. They'll form soon. Push forward. Test the front. Then try to break it. They always do. But today, something feels different. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the stillness of the air. Maybe it's the faint crack I noticed this morning in the cliff face. Or maybe it's the way my breath catches when I realize I don't remember the last time I blinked. I force myself to blink, just once, and the world shifts minutely, like a painting coming to life at the edges. The color deepens, the shapes sharpen. My hands feel suddenly too heavy, too visible. I flex my fingers around the shaft of the spear and let them settle again. It's strange how such small movements feel louder than the approaching army. The front rank of the Persians begins to take shape now. They're still far, maybe 200 paces, but they move with precision. Their shields shimmer dully in the sun, more decoration than defense, and their spears are shorter than ours, lighter, quicker. We know this. We've studied them, trained against them in the abstract for years. But it's one thing to learn their formations in a courtyard. It's another to smell them. They carry the scent of oil and perfume, mingled with dust and something sharper. I wonder if it's their fear, or ours. Beside me, a foot shifts. The shield presses tighter against mine for a moment, before finding its rhythm again. The line breathes subtly as one. Inhale, brace, exhale, stillness. It's not perfect, but it's close. Closer than it was yesterday. And still, the king does not move. We are not to strike first. Let them reach us. Let them crash like surf against the stones. That's how we win. We do not rush. We hold. The Persians begin their chant. It's guttural, deep, rolling like thunder with no lightning. I feel it before I hear it. It vibrates through my chest cavity, tries to dislodge my heart. The sound is designed to rattle, not just bones, but belief. I look straight ahead. The chant is a wall, so we become one too. My feet root deeper into the dust. The leather strap on my shield cuts into the bend of my elbow. It should hurt more. Maybe I'll feel it later. The first of them begins to run, not all, just a wedge of 20 or so. Fast, armored lightly, mouths open wide as they scream across the final stretch. I don't move. None of us do. They're so close now I can see the whites of their eyes, and the dirt in their teeth, and something else. Panic, maybe, buried beneath the rage. Or maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe I just want them to be afraid. The moment before contact is the hardest. That beat between charge and clash. Your mind races, your heart slams. Your breath wants to quicken, but can't. You feel every detail. A fly lands on my neck. I don't flinch. Dust clings to my eyelashes. I don't blink again. One of them raises a blade high, too high. He's left his side open. The wall absorbs the first wave. The sound is wet and metal and muffled all at once. No screams, just impact. One of their spears clatters harmlessly off my shield. Another catches the edge and drags downward, hard, but my legs hold. The man who swung it slips on the loose grit and vanishes under the line. A moment later, I feel something heavy push into my left side. One of ours stumbling, regaining balance. I brace harder, adjust, press back. We're a living barrier. If one fails, all feel it. If one breaks, we break. The weight shifts again. Our front rank pushes, not far, just a single step. Enough to unsettle. Enough to say, we're still here. A Persian hand grabs the rim of my shield, fingers slick. I twist, jab forward, not with strength, but with certainty. The spear meets something soft, resistance, then release. I do not look. I do not feel proud. I do not feel anything. We are taught not to count kills, not to savor them. A counted kill becomes a memory. A memory becomes weight, and weight will get you killed tomorrow. I hear one of ours grunt sharply, not a cry, just sound. Then a thud behind me. Someone pulled back too late. Someone else takes their place without a word. The line heals itself like a wound that refuses to stay open. The charge retreats. The dust settles slowly, hanging in the air like thick fog. I can barely make out the next wave behind it. They're regrouping. I tighten my stance again. Sweat slides down my temple and pools near my jaw. I taste salt when it reaches my lips. My throat is dry, but I don't swallow. I need the noise inside me to stay quiet. Swallowing breaks rhythm. A murmur from behind. One of the captains steps close, whispers low, "Archers." I glance upward instinctively. Bad habit. We're not supposed to look. Looking does nothing. But still, I look. The sky flickers, then darkens. Not all at once, but in a steady, unnatural haze, like the day is falling apart from the top down. The arrows come like rain that forgot how to be water. Fast, cruel, many. We do not run. We lower our heads. Shields tilt slightly, eyes down. Breathe in. Breathe out. The sound is like fabric ripping in the heavens. Dozens of thuds. A few cries. One loud, cut short. Then silence. Not total, but wrong. Uneven. Like a stringed instrument with one broken string. We raise our heads again. There's blood on my shield. Not mine. I glance sideways. Just enough to see the helmet beside me is gone. The face beneath it is too still. I don't know them. I don't need to. I only know that they are not moving. Another steps in. Just like that. No words. And still, I can't shake the sound of that arrow. The one that didn't hit anything. The one I'm sure I heard land, but never saw where. What did it hit that made no sound at all? I listen for that missing sound longer than I should. It shouldn't matter. One arrow landing soft, but it does. Because it means something I can't name. Something left out. Or something added. The next wave comes slower. Not because they're tired yet, but because they've seen us hold. That first clash wasn't supposed to be met with silence. It was supposed to shatter us. Instead, they broke themselves against the line, and now they're reconsidering. They always do around this time. Their commanders pace behind them, shouting in a language I can't understand. But I know the tone. Rage laced with disbelief. Like they've just discovered that death wears a red cloak and doesn't flinch. The man who stepped in beside me shifts slightly. I can feel the heat coming off him. Not fear, just exertion. His breathing is steady even. I let that reassure me. That, and the tiny crunch his sandal makes as he adjusts his heel on the gravel. It means he's real, solid, still here. The dead man behind us is being pulled away, quick and quiet. We never stop for the fallen. They vanish without ritual, without name. Sometimes it feels cruel. Sometimes it feels kind. Depends how much you've lost. Someone coughs behind me. Dust, probably. The fine, bone-colored kind that coats your throat like regret. A new formation appears through the settling haze. More organized, more armored. They're bringing in elites now. Not immortals, no. Not yet, but closer. These ones are taller, broader, and don't scream as they advance. They don't need to scream. Their silence is an insult. Let them. They press forward in tight ranks, shields linked, spears angled low. Their armor shines more than it should. Painted gold, likely. Meant to intimidate. But paint doesn't stop spears. I don't tighten my grip this time. I let the spear rest light in my hand. Not loose, not relaxed. Just ready. That's all we ever are. Ready or not. This time they don't charge full speed. They march in step, measured, like dancers in formation. I can feel the tension in our line rise just slightly, like a drawn breath held too long. They want us to break it. I think of the boy behind me, the one I heard praying earlier. I wonder if he's still there, still whispering, still hoping, or if he's quiet now for a different reason. The two lines meet. It's a slower impact this time. More force, less frenzy, shields grind together like teeth. I push forward with my shoulder, angled just so, and feel the jolt ripple down my spine. My spear finds no target. Too close. Too tight. A blade scrapes across my greave. No blood. Just noise. I twist, elbow high, and drive it forward through a narrow gap between shields. A grunt. A stagger. A gap opens. A chance. I don't take it. Not yet. I hold. That's the rule. That's what makes us different. Behind the Persians, someone yells again, shrill this time. Not command. Frustration. We're not collapsing like they thought. We're shifting. Breathing. Responding. Becoming something less like a line and more like a tide that refuses to recede. I feel the moment they falter. It's not big. Just a shuffle. A hesitation. But it spreads. And then Leonidas moves. Not much. Just 2 steps forward, toward the center. And we follow. We surge, not wildly, not with bloodlust, but with precision. A forward breath, a correction, a message. We're still stronger than you hoped. My spear punches through something. I don't look to see what. The shaft jerks sideways, and I let it go. Pull my short sword instead. The weight is familiar, almost comforting. It fits my hand better than a lover ever could. They retreat again, some dragging wounded, others limping back in silence. One falls mid-turn, and no one stops for him. Their dead lie where they fall. Ours do not. A runner from the rear darts forward, young, thin, fast. He slips between the shields, grabs the body beside us, and hauls it back before the next wave begins. The efficiency is almost sacred. There's no mourning, only motion. Dust rises again. I squint through it and notice something strange. One of the enemy left something behind. Not a weapon, not armor, something small, round, shiny. It catches the light, half buried in the grit. A coin? No. Too smooth. A pendant? It glints again. I make a mental note of where it landed, even though I'll never go retrieve it. Why would someone charge into death carrying something they couldn't bear to lose? The silence after the clash is longer this time. The mountain seems to listen with us, as if deciding whether to echo our heartbeat or theirs. The air thickens. I wipe my forehead with the back of my arm. My sweat smells different today, less like exertion, more like memory. I don't know what that means, but it unsettles me. The man to my right lets out a slow breath. Not tired, not relieved, just present. The line adjusts again. I grip the sword tighter and wonder, how many of these moments are left? How many pushes? How many surges? How many unknowns waiting just beyond the next dust cloud? The sun has fully risen now, but it doesn't feel warm, just blinding. It washes everything in a golden light that makes blood look like wine. I shift my stance slightly, pressing my heel into the earth. The line holds, but something inside me moves, and I don't yet know if it's breaking or waking. The sun leans higher, and with it, the shadows vanish. There's no place left to hide, not even inside myself. Every part of me is exposed to the heat, the dust, the possibility. The line adjusts again, but subtly, like a ripple through still water. I find the familiar pressure of the shield against mine, its edge a cold reassurance on my left. On my right, a grunt, someone replacing a fallen soldier without hesitation. We don't name them. We don't ask. We just fill the gaps. My short sword feels heavier now, though I haven't swung it since the last push. It's not the blade that weighs. It's the waiting. It's the knowledge that the next impact could come from anywhere, and you'll need to be faster than thought to answer it. The Persians are changing tactics. I can tell from the way the next line doesn't move forward all at once. They're testing, probing, sending small flares of movement along our flanks. I see them ducking low, shieldless, armed with curved blades that are meant to slip between armor. Fast, lean, almost graceful. Almost. We brace, but we don't reach. That's what they want. Let them come. A figure darts forward, too quick to track, until he's suddenly there, right at the edge of the shield wall. He slashes wide at the man 2 down from me, catching only air, and is gone again. Retreats into the dust. The sound of breathing gets louder. Another moves in, faster, this time at my side. I pivot without thought, swing up, not out, and feel the clash of metal on bone. He stumbles. I push forward, not far, just a pace, and he crumples under the wall's weight. Another takes his place before the dust settles. They're trying to bait us into chasing. But we don't chase. We absorb. 2 more fall. Then one makes it through. A flash of bronze and fabric slipping past our left flank, diving between the shields. A cry erupts behind me. The kind of cry that sounds surprised more than pained. Someone turns to deal with it. I don't. That's not my place. My place is forward. Stillness in the face of motion. The king hasn't spoken. He doesn't need to. We know what to do. We knew it before we stood on this cursed pass. We knew it in childhood, in bruises and drills and sweat-stained discipline. There is no panic here, only response. The push comes next. Their shields, rough and mismatched, slam into ours with all the force of desperation. I stagger back half a step, but the man beside me leans forward and the balance holds. Together, we become immovable. The Persians scream now, not in pain, yet, but in effort, in frustration. They chant names I don't understand, raise weapons with carvings I don't recognize. But it doesn't matter what they say. The shield remembers. It takes the brunt. My arm shakes, but I stay grounded. I feel something give on the other side. A shift in weight. A moment of imbalance. I push through. My sword finds an opening. A gap in the armor. A breathless pause. And then, resistance. Not deep, not enough to fell him, but enough to mark him. He disappears into the rear, clutching his side. Someone else steps forward. The gap is sealed. The machine moves on. The dust thickens again. I blink through it. I can barely see beyond a few paces. The world becomes small, manageable. Just me, my shield, the man beside me, and the sound of effort all around. The air tastes like copper. Not blood exactly, just the promise of it. Someone to my left is breathing wrong, shallow, off rhythm. I don't turn to look, but I start counting my own breaths again, hoping they'll hear and match. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. A Persian shield slams into mine with less force than expected. A feint. He steps back immediately, drawing me out. I stay still. He tries again. I press forward, not enough to chase, just to answer. This time my shield hits his face. He reels. I follow, not with motion, but with stance. My presence becomes the reply. He doesn't come back. Behind the enemy line, a movement. Their commander steps forward, taller, dressed in robes that billow as he walks. He doesn't fight. He watches, measures, notes, then turns away. What did he see? What did he fail to see? Why did he smile when he left? That smile stays with me longer than the blade wounds. There's a rhythm to this kind of battle, a terrible poetry. The clash, the weight, the breathing. The moments in between feel like years, like lives you could have lived if you'd turned left instead of right. Someone behind me mutters something about the sun. It's higher now. No shadows left. Just light and what it reveals. Blood on the stones, tracks of sandals, a broken spear tip glinting in the dust. And in the center of it all, us. Still here. Still whole or close enough. My lips are cracked. I lick them, tasting the dried salt of sweat and dust. I want water. I want rest. I want home. But none of that belongs here. What belongs here is resolve and silence and the sense that you are where you're meant to be, even if that place ends with your last breath. I adjust my grip on the sword, roll my shoulders once. The dust begins to part again, and I realize I haven't heard a bird in hours. That silence where the birds used to be, it stretches longer than it should. Even in war, nature finds its gaps. A gull, a crow, a distant sparrow pressed thin against the wind. But not today. Not here. Just dust and breath and the shifting weight of dying things. The dust clears slowly, like a veil being peeled from a wound. And what stands behind it makes something in my chest tighten. Not fear, not quite, but something like recognition. The immortals. I've never seen them this close before. Only heard the stories. The elite guard of Xerxes, masked, cloaked, perfectly ordered. One falls, another takes its place instantly, without hesitation. They are meant to be unshakable. They're dressed like shadows made of silk and bronze. We shift. The entire line recalibrates, not from fear, but instinct. Every body moves one breath closer to the man beside them, not touching, just closer. The immortals don't shout, they don't chant, they just begin to walk. And something about that quietens everything. I grip my sword tighter. My wrist aches from the last deflection, but I ignore it. The pain is simple, honest. I'd rather focus on that than on the strange shimmer of their masks. Blank metal faces reflecting distorted bits of us. It's like fighting a version of yourself you don't want to understand. I exhale slowly. The man beside me does the same. We're strangers. We've never spoken. But in this moment, I know his rhythm better than my own. The first immortal strikes. Their formation doesn't break. They don't lunge. They press. One unit. Like water moving through cracks. They flow to the edges of our line, testing, searching for weak joints. I brace. My shield meets the blow with a dull ring. It vibrates up my forearm into the socket of my shoulder. I stagger back half a step. He follows. I pivot, bash sideways, and feel the resistance fall away. One is gone. Another steps forward. No reaction, just continuity. They fight like a single idea made of limbs. We try to respond in kind, but we are still men, breathing, bleeding, breaking. The king finally speaks. Forward. One word. That's all. We surge. My body moves before my thoughts do. We push not to crush, but to disrupt, to turn their unity against them. The left flank collapses inward. Our line curls around it. I stab forward, catch fabric, maybe flesh. I don't know. My arm is slick with something warm. I press harder. The immortal in front of me stumbles. Not much, but enough. I take the space he leaves behind. He slips. I don't. They begin to retreat, not in panic, but in calibration. They're resetting. That's worse than fear. Fear can be broken. Strategy returns. I pause just long enough to wipe my palm against my cloak. The blood leaves a smear that looks almost like writing. I can't read it. Maybe it's a name. Maybe it's mine. A shout rises behind us, a signal from the cliff path. A scout. Short bursts of sound. 3 calls, then 2, then silence. The man behind me mutters, "They found the trail." I don't answer. I already know what it means. The past may no longer be ours, but I don't let the thought take root. Not yet. We're still standing. We're still here, and the immortals are still resetting. I scan their ranks. There, one of them hesitates. Just slightly. One foot placed half a step behind the other. I can almost feel the wobble from here. Not enough to break him, but maybe enough to break the illusion. And if they're not perfect, what else have we been wrong about? The dust swirls again. This time it's not from battle, but from wind. Hot, sudden, almost artificial. The mountain exhales, and the scent it carries is thick with oil and old iron. It fills the nose like grief, heavy, inescapable. Familiar in a way I wish it wasn't. We hold our place. They hold theirs. There is no movement for a full minute. Just the rising sound of 1,000 shoulders shifting, shields adjusting, blades humming against sheaths. The immortals step forward again. Slower this time. More deliberate. They've learned. We've taught them. But what they haven't learned is this. We don't bend. We don't yield. We don't negotiate with inevitability. My feet feel as though they've grown into the stone beneath me. I am no longer standing on the pass. I am the pass. Their blades glance off my shield. Their rhythm breaks against our breathing. Their silence shatters on the echo of our will. One by one, we cut through their perfection. Not because we are stronger, not because we are more, but because we refuse to disappear. Someone behind me stumbles. I reach back without looking, catch their elbow, steady them. They breathe. They nod. We move forward. The masks begin to fall. First one, then another, then 3 at once. Faces underneath, blinking, bloody, startled. Not gods, not ghosts, just men. I wonder if they're shocked by how human we look too. The dust begins to settle. The immortals have vanished, retreated again behind the next wave. They'll return. They always do. But for now, we stand. I glance toward the cliffs. The scout is gone. The echo of the signal still lingers. I don't want to know what's happening behind us. Not yet. Not until I have to. Because for this moment, just this one, flickering second, we are still the wall that holds. The wall that holds, that's what we've become. Not just a phrase passed between warriors, not a saying carved into a shield rim. It's what the mountain knows us as, what the wind whispers through the pass, what the enemy now calls us with clenched teeth and lowered eyes. And yet, I don't feel like stone. I feel like breath, rattling inside a cage of tired muscle and bruised bone, hoping not to fail the weight I'm carrying. There's a lull, the kind that shouldn't exist. No marching, no shouts. Even the enemy's drums have stopped. That's the most unsettling part. The absence of sound is too complete, as if the mountain itself is listening, or mourning, or waiting. I roll my shoulders slowly, careful not to disturb the position of my shield. The arm underneath is numb now, blood cut off, nerves dulled. I think I could set it down, and it would fall with the sound of a fallen tree. But I won't. We've been in standoffs like this before, usually just before something strange begins. And it does. I see the first shimmer just past the haze. Bright cloth, brilliant armor, crested helmet far taller than function allows. A man meant to be seen. A general, perhaps, or something more ceremonial. He's flanked by guards, but he doesn't walk like a man hiding behind others. He's coming closer. Some commanders try to negotiate in moments like this, test our fatigue, offer safe passage, false deals, but he says nothing. He just studies us with an intensity that feels more invasive than any blade. His eyes pass over the line until they settle on me. Not long, just a flick of recognition. Not of who I am, because I'm no one, but of what I am. Still standing, still breathing, still refusing. He lifts one gloved hand, a signal. The guards behind him pull away a thick covering from something low to the ground. A wheeled frame, with a crate on top, a battering ram. Number I squint. A pile of firewood. Number A brazier, flames crackling, carefully tended. Beside it, something narrow, glinting. A stack of arrows, longer than usual, wrapped in oil-soaked cloth. Fire arrows. They're planning to burn the pass. Or us. But something's off. Why now? Why not before? Why not when we were already weakened? I feel the tension ripple across our line. Not panic, awareness. A breath held too long. A conversation happening silently through body language alone. A few men shift their footing. I do too. And then they begin. The first arrow ignites with a hiss, like breath sucked through teeth. The archer dips the shaft into flame, draws, releases. The sound is thin, almost elegant. We raise our shields. The arrow hits the stone above us and explodes in a burst of sparks. No impact, just light. A warning, the second comes closer. And the third, too close. It hits the man beside me, not directly. His shield absorbs the brunt, but fire licks up the rim and catches his cloak. He drops, rolling, smothering the flame. He's up again in seconds, panting, furious, alive. The next volley comes fast. Flaming streaks fill the air like angry stars. Some fall short. Some find armor. Some ignite nothing. But one hits dry grass behind us, left there by careless footsteps. The flame spreads quick, greedy, eager for more. The captain barks a command. 2 men break rank, smother the fire with cloaks. We shift to cover the gap they leave. We've trained for this. We didn't expect it today. But we've trained. The air smells different now, thick with smoke, the kind that chokes thought and blurs the line between memory and instinct. They want to confuse us, blind us, break our patience, My eyes sting. I lower my head behind the shield rim, blink hard, blink again. Through the haze, I see movement, something slithering between the soldiers, thin, low to the ground. I squint. A rope. No, multiple ropes, leading forward from the enemy line. What? They pull something massive into view. Wheels, axles, chains. It groans like a wounded beast as it rolls. A siege tower? Number 2 small. But it's covered in cloth soaked in something wet and glistening. Oil. They're going to push it toward us and light it at the base. Block the pass. Burn the way shut. Trap us in our own strength. The realization doesn't shake me. Not anymore. We're past fear. Past escape. This isn't a battle, it's a ceiling. The king moves again, 1 pace forward, and then a second. We do the same. Together. We walk toward the flame. No one says it aloud, but we all understand. If they seal the pass with fire, no one holds it, so we stop them. Now a forward motion. Not a charge, not a scream, just footsteps, measured, certain, unbroken. The enemy doesn't expect it. They panic. I see confusion ripple through their front. Archers drop arrows. Footmen hesitate. Some break formation. We close the distance fast. I slam my shield into a man holding a torch. His flame dies in the dirt. My sword moves through cloth, skin, something deeper. I don't think. I don't look, just move. The structure is only paces away now, and it's burning at the base. Someone got to it. The oil catches. Flame crawls up like a serpent. I don't stop. I lunge, drive my shoulder into it. It topples sideways, crashing into the stone wall, still burning. The way is not sealed, not yet. But my arm is scorched. The heat bit deep through bronze. I can smell my own skin. Still, I'm upright. The others fall back, pulling wounded with them, and I follow. But just before I retreat, I glance down at the cloth that draped the fire cart. There's a mark burned into it, a symbol I don't recognize, a sun with too many rays. 12. What god were they calling to? That needed 12 rays to see us burn. The mark lingers in my thoughts long after the flames have dimmed. A sun with 12 rays. Too precise to be decoration. Too deliberate to be accidental. The Persians worshipped many gods, but this symbol, it feels older or newer. Like something they brought here not to win, but to witness. We're back in formation now. Not perfect, not clean. A few shields dented, a few gaps filled. My arm burns where the heat kissed through my armor. It's a dull, persistent ache, like a voice just below hearing. But I keep it close. Pain is proof. Proof that I'm still here, that I'm still me. The smoke hasn't cleared. It settles low, dragging across the pass like a wounded thing. The light filtering through it is strange, golden, hazy, and dreamlike. For a moment, I feel like I'm watching all this happen from far away, like I've already died, and this is what memory looks like from the other side. But then the coughing brings me back. Not mine. The boy behind me. He's young. I've never seen his face, but I know him by sound. His breathing's been rough since yesterday, and worse now. Probably from the smoke. Maybe from fear. I hear him whisper something, not to me, not to anyone, just to himself. I want to turn around. I don't. Instead, I plant my heel deeper into the earth, a way of saying, I hear you. He shifts his foot in reply. That's enough. Ahead, the Persians are regrouping again, but not the foot soldiers. This time it's cavalry. I hear them before I see them. The hoofbeats like rolling thunder. Deep, rhythmic, confident. The kind of sound meant to crush the mind before the body. They're bringing horses into the pass. They must be desperate or arrogant. The ground trembles as they approach, not in fear, just in recognition. Even the earth knows weight when it hears it. I ready my shield. We've trained for this. Narrow spaces are our advantage. The horses can't flank us. They can't charge full speed. But the riders, they know that too. They're aiming not to break us, but to trample, to sow chaos, to turn the line into a question mark. The king doesn't move. Neither do we. The riders appear from the smoke like ghosts, all armor and noise and movement. Their spears angled down, their eyes narrow beneath crested helms. The first one shouts, a battle cry, too high-pitched to carry fear. It echoes strangely off the stone, as if the pass itself is unimpressed. Then they're on us. The first horse hits the line and rears. I brace. The weight slams against my shield, almost lifts me from my feet. But I drop low, absorb the force. Twist. The rider falls, awkward, his foot caught in the stirrup. The horse flees. He does not. Another charges left. My shieldmate sidesteps. The horse brushes past, and two spears catch it in the ribs. It screams, an awful human sound. But it's not the worst I've heard today. They keep coming. 3 more riders sweep in. One throws a javelin, it misses, skips off the rocks behind. Another aims lower. His spear hits the edge of my shield and skitters down. Sparks fly. I feel the vibration in my teeth. I strike upward, blade to thigh. He doesn't scream, just stiffens and falls sideways, leg limp. The horses panic. Too much noise, too little space. They rear, turn. One knocks down 2 of their own as it flees. Then silence. Again. And smoke. They retreat. The hoofbeats fade. The dust settles. The ground is slick now. Blood, oil, something unidentifiable. And there, between 2 discarded saddles, I see it. A hand, reaching from beneath a fallen horse. Still moving, not waving, not begging. Just reaching. I stare. Why don't they call for help? Why isn't anyone going to them? I glance at the captain. He doesn't blink. He's seen it too. Maybe he's seen too many already. Still the hand moves. I grip my sword tighter. And then, I don't know why, I whisper under my breath, too quiet for anyone to hear. Hold on. They won't. They can't. But I say it anyway. The mountain stirs. A breeze pushes through the pass. The smoke thins, just enough to see the far end. And something's different. The Persians aren't regrouping this time. They're waiting, watching. A silence that doesn't belong to war stretches between us. Then one man steps forward, alone, unarmed. He walks to the center of the pass, slowly, deliberately, not threatening, not surrendering, just present. He kneels, sets something down, a bowl, and something else. Bread. He places a piece beside the bowl, presses it gently into the dust, bows, then leaves. We say nothing. No one moves. What is it? An offering? A mockery? A message? Or just a memory left behind? I still don't know why he came. And I can't stop wondering who the bread was meant for. No one dares touch the bread. It sits in the middle of the pass, like a question none of us are brave enough to answer. Perfectly round, perfectly placed. The bowl beside it is shallow, carved from dark clay, and already gathering dust. Maybe it's a ritual. Maybe it's a trick. Maybe it's something sacred we've already defiled by existing too close to it. But it stays there, untouched, as the sun climbs higher and the flies begin to notice. We reset the line again, slowly. The smoke has cleared just enough to see one another's eyes, though we don't look for long. It's easier not to. You start to recognize people when you look. give them shapes, memories, voices, and then when they're gone, the shape stays. The silence where their voice used to be stays louder than the noise ever was. My shield arm has stopped hurting. That's the worst part. It's gone quiet. I shift the strap, trying to coax sensation back into the joint, but all I get is a flash of cold and a pinprick down the fingers. It'll return, or it won't. Either way, I stay in formation. We wait. The Persians wait. The bread lies still. A small part of me, tucked somewhere beneath the sweat and salt and fear, wonders if someone will eventually step forward to take it. Not as an insult, not as surrender, just hunger. But no one moves. Time stretches oddly here. 1 hour feels like a blink. One breath can last a lifetime. I remember when the sun was just rising. Now it hangs high overhead, unapologetic and cruel. Shadows shorten, skin dries. Even the blood on the rocks begins to flake. Then the wind shifts again. Not much. Just enough to stir the hem of a discarded cloak. And with it comes the sound of footsteps. Not marching, not rushing, just walking. We lift our heads as one, and we see them. Another line, fresh soldiers, clean armor, cloaks not yet stained, reinforcements or replacements. It doesn't matter which. They're here now, and we are fewer. I glance left, then right. The gaps are starting to outnumber the filled spaces, but still, we close the line. The king raises his hand once, slow and steady. It's enough. We ready ourselves. The enemy draws near, not running, not aggressive, not yet. They come like a tide that has already claimed the beach and now wants the cliff, unstoppable but slow, confident, too confident. I lower my stance. The man in front of me is tall, taller than most Persians I've seen. His armor is lacquered, patterned with something floral, strange for war. His eyes meet mine briefly as he lifts his blade. He nods. I don't know why. Then he attacks. His blade rings off my shield and glances down my forearm. I twist to the left, drive upward with the pommel of my sword into his elbow. He recoils but doesn't fall. We reset. He swings again. I meet it. Steel grinds against steel. He steps back, not out of fear but curiosity, as if he's never fought someone who didn't blink. Then he vanishes into the shuffle. Another replaces him. They're not reckless now. They're careful. Too careful. That's their mistake. We use it. A sudden push forward from our flank catches them off rhythm. My blade finds skin. A wrist, maybe. A side. The man gasps, falls, is pulled away. The space he leaves doesn't fill right away. We press again. Not to win, to warn. We're still here. One by one, their movement's slow. They aren't breaking, but they're hesitating. And sometimes, that's enough. The clash quiets, just briefly, just long enough for me to see the bread again. Still untouched, still waiting. My gaze lingers on it as I catch my breath, and in that quiet, something strange happens. The boy behind me, his voice, soft and hoarse, says, "Maybe it was for him." I don't turn. I just answer, "Who?" A pause, then, "The man who didn't fall." I don't know who he means, but the words settle deep, somewhere out there. Beneath the bodies, the dust, the endless rhythm of dying, someone might still be kneeling, still reaching, still waiting for the bread. I shake the thought. I can't let it root, but it follows me as we brace again. The Persians gather once more. A horn sounds, not from the cliff, not from the rear, but from our left. An echo follows, one I don't recognize. I glance toward the sound, the mountain. There's movement there. Small, fast, too fast. Our eyes lock. The captain sees it too. They've come through the mountain, not the main force, not yet, but shadows, quiet ones, slipping through goat trails and hidden ledges, bypassing the pass entirely. We trained for this possibility. We knew there were routes, unmarked, steep, forgotten by all but the desperate or the clever. We just didn't expect them to use it so soon. The boy behind me breathes differently now. Shorter, shallower, he saw it too. Not the men, just the movement, the suggestion of what's to come. I lower my shield just slightly, adjust my footing, glance toward the king. He hasn't turned. He won't. His shoulders remain square to the front, unmoving, unshaken. He knew. Of course he did. And still, he chose to stay. A murmur spreads down the line like wind over wheat. Not panic, not yet. Just awareness. The pass is no longer a gate. It's a bottle, and we're inside it. They're going to close it from behind. Flood the mouth. Drown us in precision. Make our strength our trap. That's how this ends. Not in failure, but in a kind of clever silence. The kind the Persians have mastered. The kind where nothing is left to bury. A voice calls out, distant but clear. One word. Greek, not Persian. A warning. The Thespians react first. A few glance back, weapons twitching. Some move, not far, just enough to change the rhythm of the line. We compensate. Shield angles shift. Feet reset. The enemy notices. And now, they move. From both ends. A slow advance at the front. And behind, those shadows begin to unfold into figures. Not many, not yet. But enough to count. They're closing in. The boy behind me whispers again. Are we surrounded? I don't answer. There's no answer to give. The king lifts his spear. The signal is clear. We hold. The Persians at the front press forward, emboldened by the tightening trap. I can feel it in their footsteps. The hope. The sense that this might finally be the moment we break. We don't. My sword finds flesh again. This time a knee. The man crumples forward, caught between shields. I brace, push him back, feel his weight vanish. Someone else steps in behind him. His blade moves faster than mine. He nicks my thigh, not deep, but sharp. Enough to sting. I grit my teeth. Drive forward. The clang of armor on armor. The scream of a man who thought his helmet would save him. The groan of wood splitting. I lose my footing briefly. The dust shifts wrong under me. I twist, recover. My shieldmate steadies me with a nudge. We reset. The boy coughs again, this time wet. I know what that means. But I don't look. I can't. Not yet. The Persians behind us grow bolder. I hear the clash of metal from the rear ranks, shouts in a tongue I don't speak, a cry, brief, a fall. They're inside now. The pass is breached. Still, we hold the front. It's all we can do. I focus on the man ahead. His movements are practiced, precise. He isn't here to die. He's here to execute. I block, strike, misblock again, parry, push. Then, an opening. My sword meets his side. He gasps, slumps forward, gone. I breathe once, then turn slightly. Not a full turn, just enough. The boy is still upright, but barely. His arm hangs low, limp. His mouth is open, jaw trembling. Blood slicks the corner of his lips. He looks at me. Not for help, for understanding. As if to ask why he's still standing. And I don't know. But I nod anyway. Because maybe that's the only answer left. The clash behind us draws closer. The rear guard calls out, trying to regroup, trying to pull the line back, not to retreat, just to compact, to become dense, harder to pierce. The king hasn't moved, still facing forward, still daring them, still unbroken. The air thickens, dust, sweat, blood, smoke. It becomes hard to tell what's real, what's memory, what's prayer. I blink, and in that instant, I see the bread again, still untouched, still at the center of it all. It hasn't burned, it hasn't moved, no one's claimed it. It simply remains. And that's the worst part. Because I think it's waiting for someone who's already gone. We fight in a circle now. That's how you know a battle's begun to rot from the inside. When the line, once straight and proud, starts to fold in on itself. When you can feel the weight of breath on your neck, not just from the enemy in front, but from the ones creeping up behind. I glance left, briefly. One of the thespians turns to cover the rear flank, blood dripping from his elbow. His tunic's torn, teeth clenched. He's out of formation, but not out of the fight. That matters. That means he still believes there's something worth holding. We all do. For now. The king hasn't turned. Not once. I don't know if it's defiance or mercy. If he knows that behind him, the pass is filling with smoke, with shadows, with death. Or maybe he knows and chooses not to look, because if he does, the whole line will follow his gaze, and then it's over. So we keep our eyes forward, even as we bleed from behind. I strike down another. My blade is slow now, not because of hesitation, but fatigue. My wrist has started to tremble just slightly. Not enough to see, just enough to know. They're pushing harder. I feel the shift in energy from the enemy ranks. The new soldiers, they're different, less organized, more wild. These aren't frontline warriors. These are the sweepers, the ones sent in when structure no longer matters. I duck low. An axe sings past my helmet, missing by inches. I thrust up, not at the attacker, but at the space he left unguarded. A stomach, a groin. Doesn't matter. He falls. The boy behind me doesn't speak now. I hear him breathe, barely. That's enough. We're shoulder to shoulder again, compressed. No space for footwork, only instinct. The air between us is too hot. Every exhale tastes like copper and earth. The man to my right loses his grip. His sword slips. I see it fall to the ground between us. He doesn't bend to retrieve it. There's no time. He draws a dagger, shoves it into the chest of the enemy in front of him. The blade gets stuck. He lets it go. Grabs a rock. That's where we are now. Weapons are borrowed, or found, or improvised. I lose count of the dead. Not theirs. Ours. Because now they're falling too fast to track. 1, 2, then 4 more. We close the gaps automatically, but the rhythm breaks. The music of the formation begins to stutter. Someone calls for water. No one responds. There's no shame in that. There's just no water. The bread is still there. I don't know why I keep seeing it. My eye finds it again and again, even while I fight. Like it's pulsing. Like it's waiting for its moment. A man stumbles backward into me. One of ours. Wounded. His eyes are wide. Not in fear. In shock. He doesn't realize he's dying. His hands press against a hole in his side that should have bled more than it does. He looks at me. Not for help. Just to see someone. Then he exhales. And doesn't inhale again. I shift my footing. Step over him. The enemy fills the space he left. We push. But it's harder now. Harder to feel the strength in your legs when there's no end in sight. Harder to swing with purpose when the faces start to blur into one endless figure made of noise and motion. A spear scrapes across my thigh. Not deep, but enough to make my stance buckle. I drop to a knee, raise my shield just in time to deflect a blow. Another comes, low, slicing toward my ribs. I roll with it, stand again, blade raised. The attacker is gone, replaced. The circle tightens. The captain screams something. I can't hear it. Not through the ringing, not through the weight in my chest. I catch the boy's shoulder as he slips, pull him up. He nods without looking. He's trying to speak, but he can't. His mouth opens, closes, then opens again. Just a whisper. The bread. I don't ask. I don't need to, because now it's clear. Someone's finally stepped toward it, one of theirs. Not to claim it, to crush it. The soldier lifts his foot, hovers over the offering like it's a joke that's gone stale. I don't know what makes me move, but I do. A step, maybe two. A lunge more than a plan. My sword flashes through the haze. It hits his calf. He collapses before the foot comes down. The bread rolls once, stops, still whole, still warm, impossible. But I can smell it now. And suddenly I understand something awful. It was never meant to be eaten. It was meant to remind us that we're still human. And someone wanted us to forget. I don't return to formation immediately. For a breath, maybe two, I stand there alone, half a step ahead of the line, sword low, chest heaving. The soldier who tried to crush the bread doesn't rise. His body twists in the dust, limp, forgotten by both armies. No one cheers, no one speaks. We just breathe, shallow and ragged, as if trying not to disturb whatever spirit has settled over the offering. Then the line catches up to me, a hand on my shoulder. I step back into place. The rhythm resumes, but not quite the same. Something has shifted. It's subtle, like the edge of a blade not yet seen, but already felt. I look at the bread again. It hasn't rolled far. Just enough to leave a faint, curved line in the dirt, like a half circle, unfinished. The sun has baked its crust into something hard, something stubborn, and still no one eats it. We're not hungry for bread anymore. We're hungry for time, and time is thinning. Another wave comes, sloppier this time, less coordinated. They're tired too. It's strange how comfortless that is. You'd think we'd take solace in their exhaustion, but we don't. Because tired enemies are often the most dangerous. Their caution gone, their minds clouded. They swing harder. They bleed faster. They care less. The man before me lunges too far. His foot catches a stone. I strike low, catch his knee. He screams, not for long. Another takes his place. The rhythm persists, but there's a sound behind me now. One I don't recognize. At first it sounds like a distant waterfall, then like boiling water, then like breath. No, not breath. Breathing. Many. Too many. Coming down the mountain path. I turn my head, just slightly. A wall of figures descends from the cliff trail. Not Persians, not Greeks, not soldiers, runners, scouts, boys mostly. Young men carrying torches and curved knives, not meant to fight, meant to finish. My stomach drops. They've completed the encirclement. There's no longer a back to defend, just a tightening noose. Someone whispers, "They're closing." Another, "We won't last long." And still the king doesn't turn. He steps forward, raises his hand again. Not in defiance, not in surrender. Just stillness. I find my feet moving, almost unconsciously. I follow him. So do the others. Not all, but many. Our formation doesn't break. It just shifts, folds inward, then outward again. Like a tide pulling in before it crashes. We push, not back, forward, into the heart of the Persian front. A sudden roar erupts, not from our mouths, but from our feet, from the weight of our unity. We crash into them like a stone wall with teeth. The line buckles, their formation folds, and for a moment, just a breath, we drive them backward. The dust rises in clouds. I can't see the boy behind me anymore. I can't hear him either. I don't know when I last did. Someone screams. I don't know whose voice it is. It might be mine. My blade finds armor, then flesh, then bone. My arm moves on its own now, more memory than thought. I hear metal clash. I hear a cry. I hear silence. First turn. The captain is gone, his spot filled by someone I don't recognize. But their shield touches mine, and that's all that matters now. We hold again, until we can't. The runners from the cliff are almost on us now. I hear their sandals slap the stone. I hear the whispers they carry between them. One rushes into the line, dagger raised. He's barely taller than my shoulder. He swings wide, sloppy. I step aside, guide his momentum past me, then stop it with a sharp strike to the back. He drops. He doesn't look older than 15, and he looks so surprised. He wasn't supposed to die here, but neither were we. The king's voice rises, not a shout, a statement. Forward, and we obey. Even now, even knowing. Because what else is left? We press. We break through another rank, but we don't celebrate, we can't. Not when the smoke is starting to burn the inside of our mouths. Not when the dead are too many to step around. Not when even the mountain seems to be sagging under the weight of our resistance. I glance back, just once, and I see it. The bread is gone, not stepped on, not destroyed, gone. As if someone finally took it. As if it served its purpose. As if even the gods needed something to hold. There's a chill now, beneath the heat. It creeps in from the stone, not the sky, from below, not above. As if the mountain itself has begun to remember what silence feels like. As if it, too, is preparing to fall still. The bread is gone. No crumbs, no footprint, no explanation, just absence. And somehow, that leaves a deeper scar than its presence ever did. The line is broken in places, not shattered, fractured, cracked like old pottery that still holds water, barely. We lean into each other more now. Shields aren't round anymore. They're warped, dented, splintered at the edges. Mine has a split across the center that wasn't there before. I ignore it. I feel the blood in my boot. I don't know whose. The runners from the cliffs have begun to push into the rear ranks. We're surrounded in the truest sense. A ring of fire, of metal, of breath. And yet the king still faces forward. His spear is red now, from tip to haft. He's breathing heavy, but still breathing. They've brought archers again. We see them forming near the far ridge, shadows moving in the flicker of late sun, bending their bows without hurry. There's no shield wall for the sky. We know what's coming. We drop our stances slightly, shoulders curving inward, shields tilt, heads bow. The first volley is always the worst. They come like whispers, fast, software silent until impact. Then the sound, thuds, grunts, a scream. I don't flinch. The man beside me does, just once. His hand goes to his shoulder, finds something there. An arrow. He yanks it free, doesn't scream, but he stops fighting. Another volley. More bodies fall. We adjust again. I wonder if the king has been struck, but I don't look. I don't want to see the moment the mountain bends. The enemy waits. They've stopped advancing. We've confused them. They thought we would break, that we'd scatter like smoke. But smoke rises, and we're still here. I take one step forward, then another. My legs ache in strange places. The muscles twitch. My knees crack. But I keep moving, because there's something about not being dead when you should be that makes you bold. And then I hear it. A laugh. Small. Hollow. Behind me. Someone's laughing. Not hysterically. Not cruelly. just lightly. The kind of laugh you let slip when you realize the absurdity of still being alive. I don't turn. I just let it fill the silence. Even the Persians seem to pause. And then they move again. A final wave? I can't tell. They're quiet about it. No drums, no horns, no shouts. They come like the tide returns to a soaked shore. Software steady. Sure. My sword is heavier now than it's ever been. Even when I first trained with it, arms shaking, wrists weak, fingers blistered, it didn't feel like this. It feels like memory. Like a story retold so many times, it starts to forget itself. I raise it anyway. The man before me is young. Too young. His armor doesn't fit properly. His grip is uncertain. He looks at me like I'm something from a myth. I step forward. He hesitates. And for one unbearable moment, I see myself in him. Not now, not broken, but before. Years ago, when I thought all this was noble. Before I learned how blood smells when it soaks the inside of your helmet. Before I knew how long a man can live with a blade in his stomach. Before I knew that silence weighs more than sound. He swings. It's wild, wide. I dodge. Barely. I don't strike back. He tries again. Misses. I raise my blade. Then pause. He blinks. I nod. He steps away. Just 3 paces. Then disappears behind his own line. I don't know why I spared him. Maybe because I saw something. Maybe because I didn't want my last act to be one more boy broken. Maybe because I knew I'd already killed enough people I never really hated. A hand grabs my shoulder. The captain, what's left of him. Face streaked with dust. Blood from somewhere else. His eyes wide. We're pulling back to the stones, he says. I nod. We move. Not all of us. Just those still standing. The ground near the cliffs is higher, less exposed. We form a rough crescent. Not a line. Not anymore. But enough. The king joins us. He's limping now. But he doesn't sit. Doesn't speak. Just plants his spear in the dirt. It wobbles. But it stands. So do we. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. The boy who once stood behind me is gone. I don't know when. I don't know how. Only that I miss the sound of his cough. And I still don't know his name. But I think he might have known mine. The sun is beginning to tilt. Not set. Just lean, like it's tired of watching. The sky softens a little. The hard white glare now tinged with amber. Shadows start to stretch again. Even the mountain seems to breathe out. We don't. There's no time for it. The air around us feels thinner now. Not because the mountain's grown taller, but because so many of us are gone. There's more space between bodies than there should be. More space than we know how to fill. I glance at the shield to my left. It belongs to a man I haven't seen before. His hands are cracked, his knuckles split, but his grip is firm, his gaze steady. We don't speak. We don't nod. We just exist beside each other. That's what passes for trust now. Across the pass, the Persians pause again. They've formed new ranks. Tall ones, with heavy armor. Towering helms that shimmer with gold thread and bronze. I see their commander too, a different one than before. He's wearing a long blue sash, and something about him feels quiet. He's not shouting. He's watching, measuring, learning. They've begun to understand us. That's worse than being feared. When the enemy stops fearing you and starts understanding you, they stop fighting your face and start fighting your soul. I wonder what they've learned. That we bleed. That we don't run. That we're slower now, less coordinated, or something else. Maybe they've realized what I have. That none of us expected to still be standing. And now, we don't quite know what to do with that fact. A whisper moves through what's left of the line. Not words, just breathe, like the air passing through broken reeds. Then I hear someone murmur, "It's almost beautiful." I want to laugh, but I don't. Because they're right. The pass, despite the blood, despite the torn flesh, despite the bodies heaped against stone, has taken on an eerie calm. The dust hangs golden in the air. The cliffs glow softly. Even the scattered weapons catch the light like fallen stars. I lower my sword for a moment, not out of fatigue, out of reverence. And that's when I hear it. The sound of water. Faint. Trickling. Somewhere close. It doesn't belong here. I scan the stones. There, along the base of the far wall, where blood has soaked deep into the dirt, I see a wet line. Not red. Not dark. Clear. A crack in the mountain, maybe. A hidden spring, now released by the pressure of so many footsteps. Or a dream. I can't tell. But I hear it. And for a moment, it's louder than the army in front of us. The king hasn't moved. His eyes stay locked on the enemy ranks. But his grip on the spear loosens slightly. Just slightly. It's enough. He knows what I know. We've reached the end of what the body can offer. Now it's only will. I lift my sword again. It's lighter now. Maybe because I've let go of hope. Or maybe because what comes next no longer belongs to me. The enemy commander lifts a hand. They advance, but slowly. Not as a charge, as a closing. Like a book ending its final page. I glance behind. We're still surrounded. But even they have stopped rushing. The runners from the cliff. Silent now. Their daggers lower. Watching. Waiting. One of the thespians, an older man, face lined with sun and grief, lets out a long breath and steps forward. He doesn't raise his weapon. He doesn't shout. He walks into the space between us and them, slow and deliberate. He kneels and begins to draw something in the dust. A circle, a mark inside it. Maybe a letter, maybe a god, maybe just a final thought. He finishes, then looks back at us, smiles, and turns. The Persians don't strike him. He disappears into their line like smoke. No resistance, no sound. I grip my sword tighter. My shoulder aches. My back screams. But my feet stay rooted. And I realize we are the last full breath this pass will ever take. And soon it will exhale. The sound of the mountain exhaling is not wind. It's not leaves, not rockfall. It's the quiet ache in your joints when you know there's nothing left to tense against. It's the silence that comes when even the dying stop trying to speak. The man who knelt in the dust, he never returned. I don't know what he meant by that circle, that mark. Maybe it was a memory, a name, a map. Or maybe he wasn't leaving us anything. Maybe he was taking something with him. The king still stands. His hand rests on the spear, not as a weapon, but as a crutch now. His weight is off. His legs tremble more than they used to. But he hasn't fallen. He won't. A voice drifts up from somewhere behind us. It's soft. A woman's name, whispered like a prayer. No one turns to see who spoke it. We're past names now. The Persians advance again, not a wave, a tide. Slow and grim, their faces blank. The color has drained from everything but the gold in their armor and the red in the dirt. They look less like soldiers and more like ours, marching across a clock face that no longer ticks. They step over the dead. We step forward to meet them. There's no clash this time. No sharp burst of sound. Just contact. The way heat settles over skin. The way night slips over the horizon, not in one motion, but in millions of tiny ones you don't notice until it's already dark. I raise my sword. Parry, step, breathe. My shield catches a strike. Barely. The force shakes my bones. My arm finally gives. The shield drops from my hand. I don't reach for it. My other hand still holds the blade. That's enough. I swing upward and catch a man's chin. He stumbles back. Another steps forward. My blade gets caught in his armor. I let it go. My fists are still good. I drive one into his throat. He falls. Another fills his space. And I just keep moving. I don't know how. My feet are not mine anymore. My ribs burn. My vision narrows. I hear the boy's cough again. But I know he's not here. That's the trick of it. When the world shrinks like this, the only thing left inside it is memory. The king finally stumbles. Just once. We all see it. He catches himself. Barely. He rises again. But now the line is beginning to fall backward. Not from retreat, but from collapse. One of the thespians tries to hold the edge. He slips. Someone else drags him upright. Another disappears under a wave of movement. The edge frays. The circle tightens. I take a blow to the side of the head. My ears ring. For a second, the world wobbles. I see the cliffs blur. The dust swirls the wrong way. My knees bend, but I don't fall. Not yet. Not here. A soldier passes me, one of ours. He's bleeding from the mouth, no weapon, no helmet. He punches a man twice his size and keeps walking. No one stops him. He walks until he disappears in the fog of limbs. I want to ask his name, but I don't have the breath. I brace against another form. Don't know if it's friend or foe. We push together. That's all we have left. Direction. Not victory, just direction. And then, through all of this, a flicker. The bowl. The one from earlier. It's back. Or maybe it never left. It's not where it was before. It's moved. Closer. There's nothing in it. No bread, no offering. Just a single stone. Smooth. Round. Gray. How did it get there? Who placed it? Why now? What kind of offering is a stone at the end of the world? The enemy steps forward again. We hold. Barely. But we hold. The stone in the bowl doesn't shimmer, doesn't glow, doesn't mean anything. And yet, I can't stop looking at it. It's a perfect oval, just big enough to fit in a closed palm. Not jagged, not sharp, not even useful as a weapon. But someone placed it there, in that shallow dish, while we weren't looking. I don't know what it's meant to say, but it feels like a message from before this day even began. And maybe that's what gets to me. That someone believed we'd last long enough to see it. The enemy presses again. We bend, not break. Bend like old trees that learned how to survive storms by remembering where their roots were. My arm is no longer mine. My shoulder gave out 3 strikes ago. I'm fighting with instinct, with memory, with the ghost of a rhythm I learned when I still thought battle was a game. There are fewer of us now. I can feel it in the silence. It used to be noisy between the shields. Grunts, breathing, the scrape of leather on bronze. Now there's a hush, the kind you hear inside a tomb when the candles go out. The king lowers his spear, not to rest, to drive it into the ground. He leans forward and holds it there like an anchor. We move around him, like water around stone. He's not giving orders anymore. He doesn't need to. His presence is the only order left. I lose my footing, stumble to one knee. A sword grazes past my head, close enough to hum in my ear. A hand catches my elbow, pulls me upright. I don't see their face, but I whisper, "Thank you." I think they nod. The lines are gone now. No formations, no ranks, no clean edge, just pockets of resistance, flares of movement, echoes of structure. We're not a phalanx anymore. We're memory, moving in pieces, still fighting. The air is thicker now, but colder too. How does that happen? How does heat and chill live inside the same breath? I see the captain again, barely recognizable. His helmet is gone. His jaw is slack. He's swinging a broken spear like it's still whole. He catches someone in the ribs, is caught himself. He doesn't fall right away. He simply lowers, like the end of a song, and he doesn't rise again. The boy is there now. I know it's not possible, but I see him. He's not coughing, not bleeding, just standing in the middle of the dust, facing the enemy with empty hands. He looks at me, then looks at the stone in the bowl. I want to ask what it means, but I already know. It means this was real. All of it. Every step, every breath, every blow, every name we never learned, every man we never got to bury. It wasn't for a statue. It wasn't for Sparta. It wasn't for victory. It was for being, for standing, for not yielding when the world asked us to kneel. The boy disappears. The wind picks up, carries with it the smell of salt. Not blood, not sweat. Sea salt. The gulf is just over the ridge. The tide must be high. I hear a gull cry, or maybe I imagine it, but it makes me think of home. And for the first time today, I realize I don't remember what my mother's face looked like, only that she never cried when she said goodbye. I brace for the next strike. It doesn't come. The enemy slows, confused, wary, or just tired. I don't care. I breathe again, and in that breath, I remember something small. My first lesson with a sword. Not the swing, not the block, but the stance. My teacher said, "You don't fight to win, you fight to remain." I finally understand what he meant. I adjust my feet, recenter my weight, raise my arm, and wait. Because as long as one of us stands, the mountain remembers. The mountain does remember. It remembers everything, every footprint, every oath, every bloodstain that sank too deep to wash away. And I think it even remembers us before we came here. Before we were warriors, before we were walls. I wonder if it will speak of us to someone else one day, or if it will simply keep our names the way it keeps old rain, buried in rock, silent and unfinished. The Persians have stopped charging, not completely, just slowing, like their weight has shifted from offense to observation. They circle us now, blades low, armor hissing with dust. They move as if uncertain whether we're men or myths, and I don't blame them. We've stopped making noise, not out of discipline, out of depletion. Even the king now breathes louder than before, not labored, just human. It's the first time I've thought of him that way, not as a symbol, not as a legend, just a man in armor that doesn't shine anymore, standing in a past that no longer holds the promise of survival. A man who chose to stand where retreat would have been simpler. One of the thespians has fallen to his knees. He's not hurt, just kneeling, staring at the ground. The dust swirls around him like he belongs to it. He's muttering something. I can't hear what, but it sounds like names, one after the other. Software rhythmic, personal. No one tells him to stop. I look at my hand and see blood. My own this time. There's a tear near the elbow joint of my armor. Not a big one, but enough. I press my fingers into it, half curious whether the pain will sharpen. It doesn't. Pain has become ambient now, a flavor in the air, something we sip without thinking. I shift my stance again. The bowl is still there, and now the stone inside has been joined by something else. A coin. It glints. Who put it there? I didn't see. No one did. But it's there. One small piece of metal balanced beside the stone, the bowl catching just enough light to make both seem chosen. A coin for passage? For the ferryman? Or for something older? The king speaks just once. Stand! That's all. Just that word. And we do. Even the thespian on his knees. He rises, not like a soldier, but like someone waking from a dream. He takes his place again. Not perfect, but present. That's enough now. The enemy pauses. They don't speak our language, but they understand the motion. And then, a ripple of sound. Software carried on the wind. From behind them, a chant. Low, wordless, hundreds of voices murmuring in unison. It doesn't grow louder. It stays steady, like a thread pulled tight. They're singing. No, not quite. They're remembering. This is how they honor the dying, not their own United States. I don't know whether to be moved or furious. Do they mourn us? Do they admire us? Do they already consider us dead? The sound winds through the stones and makes everything else feel thin. My grip, my stance, even the sky overhead. And that's when the fire starts again. Small at first, far off at the mouth of the pass. Then more. Controlled burns. They're sealing the exit. They're turning this place into a tomb. The boy, gone now, his words return to me like dust under my eyelids. Are we surrounded? Number not anymore. We are held, contained, observed, marked for closing. The sky is darker now, not because of time, because of smoke. It rolls in thick sheets over the cliff edge, folds through the air in slow ribbons. I can still breathe, but each inhale tastes heavier than the last. The king doesn't turn. He just closes his eyes. One moment, one breath, then opens them again and walks forward. No order, no gesture, just his feet in motion. And we follow. Our blades raised. What's left of them? Our bodies breaking. What's left of them? The Persians don't stop us. They back away. Some drop their weapons. One kneels. The rest part like reeds in a river. We move through them. Not because we're winning, because we're still moving. And that's what terrifies them. I walk past one soldier who looks straight at me. His eyes are wet. He lowers his sword, steps aside. I nod. Not out of mercy, out of memory. Because I realize I've seen his face before, in a dream, or in the part of myself I never came back for. The pass is quiet now, but not empty. The Persians have stepped aside, forming a corridor, not out of respect perhaps, but out of confusion. They don't know what we're doing. Maybe we don't either. But we keep walking, one foot after the other, deeper into the smoke, past the lines of men who came to destroy us. The king leads. He doesn't speak, doesn't lift his spear. He just walks like a man who's already lived the end of the story and still chose to turn the page. I follow. There are no orders now, no formations, no plan, only motion. A few of us remain, a few dozen maybe. I can't count anymore. My vision is blurred. Smoke, ash, fatigue, something stinging my eyes I can't name. One of the soldiers near the Persian front turns toward us. He opens his mouth to speak, then closes it, and bows his head. It happens again. Another soldier, then a third. Not all of them, but enough. The king doesn't acknowledge it. Not with a nod, not with a glance. He just keeps walking, and we follow him like tide follows the moon. The earth beneath us is scorched now. The fires behind us grow louder, closer. The smoke climbs faster. The edges of the world flicker with flame. We're walking into the final breath of this place, and it welcomes us. We reach the center of the pass, again. The same place where the bread once lay, where the bowl still waits, where the stone and coin remain side by side. No one touches them. No one has to. They've already become something more than they are. The king stops. He places his hand on the spear again, not to wield it, to lean. His back curves slightly. The first time I've seen him less than upright. He speaks, not to us, to the mountain. 4 words, so soft I almost miss them. So, this is it. No one answers. He doesn't expect us to. One by one, we lower our weapons, not in surrender, in offering, to the stone, to the bowl, to the fire, to the idea. I let my blade rest on the ground beside me. My fingers stay curled a moment longer than they should, like the muscle hasn't gotten the message yet. And then I let go. A gust of wind kicks up, not strong, but sharp. It carries a whisper from the far side of the pass. Something shouted, maybe, but the word breaks in the smoke and doesn't reach us whole. The fire climbs higher. Its light is golden now, not orange. The kind of gold that lives in memories, not in heat. My legs begin to shake. Finally. The king kneels. It happens slowly, carefully, as if the act itself is sacred. He presses his palm to the earth, closes his eyes. We do the same, one by one. Some fall to knees, others collapse outright. I lower myself to the ground with a groan. My knees hit stone. My breath catches. I place one hand flat on the dirt near the coin. It's warm, not hot. Warm like a chest, like something alive. I rest there, and I listen. Not to the fire, not to the enemy, to the silence between our breaths. It's still here, even now, especially now. And in that silence, I remember. The first day I held a sword. The first time I missed home. The last words of the boy behind me. The name the thespian whispered before he fell. The humming of our shield line during the second morning. The shape of the bread. The sound of my own voice when it wasn't being used to scream. And I realized something strange. I'm not afraid. Not anymore. Because even as the smoke thickens, even as the sky becomes fire, even as our numbers fall into stillness, we are still standing. Even when we're no longer on our feet. The world has narrowed to breath and flame. I can't see the edges of the pass anymore. Just shadows moving behind veils of smoke. Faint flickers of armor. Blades catching stray bits of dying sunlight. It's like we've stepped into the mouth of an old god, and the stone around us is his throat. But we're not swallowed yet. I sit with one hand still pressed to the ground, eyes half closed, chest rising slow and shallow. The air is too thick now. It clings to the skin, seeps into the lungs. Breathing feels like drinking heat. Around me, others kneel. Some crouch with heads bowed. Some lean against shields too battered to lift. A few still stand, swords lowered, eyes far away. They sway with the breeze like reeds too stubborn to fall. And yet, the enemy does not come. They've formed a wide ring around us, keeping distance. Not out of fear, I think, but hesitation. Like they don't want to break whatever moment has taken hold. One soldier steps forward, not Persian, Greek, from the other cities, one of the ones who stayed. His tunic is dark with soot, his eyes are wild with exhaustion. He moves as if his body no longer answers to him, just echoes some older instruction. He doesn't speak. He places his sword flat on the ground in front of the bowl, then turns and walks into the firelight. He doesn't return. No one follows him. We stay. The mountain is glowing now. The smoke has turned amber. The sky behind it strange and bruised. I've lost all sense of time. The sun might be setting. It might be rising again. There's no rhythm anymore. Just this. Just us. The king shifts slightly. His hand trembles once. He stares down at the bowl, at the small arrangement it's become. A stone, a coin, a sword. I don't know if it's an altar or a grave. Then he speaks again. just one sentence. I will not leave it empty. He reaches down and removes something from beneath his cloak. A ring. Simple. Bronze. Scuffed at the edge. He places it gently inside the bowl. It clinks once and then settles in. The bowl is full now. And still the enemy does not move. The king looks to us, his gaze slow and deliberate, passing over each face that remains. Some nod. Some weep. I do neither. I just meet his eyes, and for the first time since we entered this pass, I see something there I hadn't seen before. Peace. Not victory, not pride, not vengeance. Just peace. Like a man who has remembered everything he was supposed to forget. He closes his eyes again, and this time he doesn't open them. His head bows, his body stills. He doesn't fall. He remains seated, like a statue meant to be found centuries from now. One of ours crawls forward, arm broken, face bloodied. He reaches the bowl, places a pebble next to the ring, a small white stone. Then he lies beside it. No sound, no final breath, just stillness. The enemy stirs now, but not to fight. They start to lower their weapons. Some kneel. Others turn their eyes to the cliffs, where the smoke climbs and disappears into sky. One drops his spear and walks away without a word. Another picks up the broken shield of a fallen Spartan and studies it, like he's trying to remember what it meant to resist. I lie back slowly. My body doesn't fight me. I close my eyes, just for a second. I see the boy again, but he's smiling now. He holds nothing in his hands. Not a sword, not a bowl, just light. Light like morning. He turns and vanishes into the stone. And that's when I realize we were never meant to survive, only to be remembered. The line is gone, not broken, dissolved. Like a snowfield touched by the first warm wind, it didn't shatter. It simply became something else. I lie with my back to the earth, one knee bent, a stone pressing into the small of my spine. I don't move it. It grounds me, reminds me I'm still here, that there's still a shape to my body, even if time no longer fits inside it. I can no longer hear the sound of blades, only breathing. Ours, theirs, the mountains. The wind shifts again, bringing with it something new. Not the scent of fire, not the sour tang of blood, but pine. Somewhere there are still trees. Somewhere beyond this smoke, this stone, this story. We're not dying. We're just far away. The Persians are close now. Some kneel, some pray. A few walk among us. Careful, reverent. Not as victors, just witnesses. One stops beside me. He looks down, eyes cautious, wide. Younger than I expected. His armor still shines in places, untouched by the day's weight. He lowers his weapon, and to my surprise, he kneels. Not in submission, in mourning. He reaches into a pouch and places something in the bowl. A feather. Pale gray, soft-edged. He doesn't look at me. He simply stands and disappears into the crowd. I think I hear him whisper, "Enough." I don't know who he's speaking to. The fires behind us still smolder. Their light flickers like tired breath. But the heat has faded. The danger has passed. What remains is ritual. The kind that emerges after history has stopped counting. The king hasn't moved. His fingers still curl gently around the base of his spear. His head still bowed. His body still upright. There's something eternal about it. Like the mountain has claimed him already. I sit up, slowly. Every bone protests. My side screams. But I sit, and I watch. A woman walks into the pass. I don't know where she came from. I don't know how she got past the soldiers. But no one stops her. She wears a plain robe, no armor, no weapon. Her hands are empty. She approaches the bowl and kneels. Everyone watches, even the Persians. even the dead, if they could. She reaches down and places a small, folded scrap of cloth inside. It's red, faded, torn at the edge. I think it was once part of a Spartan cloak. She sets it gently beside the feather, the coin, the stone, the ring. And she weeps. Not loudly, not for show. The kind of weeping that comes when grief becomes shape. When it turns from something inside you to something you can set on the ground and walk away from. She doesn't stay. She rises, and she leaves the way she came. We watch her go, all of us, without understanding why, but knowing we had to. The bowl is full now. Someone lights a torch. They don't lift it high. They place it near the bowl, just close enough to catch the edge of the cloak. It smolders, then catches. The flame licks upward, not violent, not ravenous, just present. We do not flinch. We do not cry. We just remain, until even the bowl begins to blacken, and then crumble. I feel something on my cheek, not blood. Rain, one drop, then another. It hisses against the hot stone. Steam rises, and with it, a sigh. It takes me a moment to realize it's my own. The rain doesn't come hard. It doesn't fall with force. It just appears, like memory, like the sound of a name you haven't spoken in years. I lie back down, let it touch my face, let it wash the ash from my lips, let it cool the space around the bowl's remains, and for the first time all day, I begin to forget what pain feels like, and remember what quiet means. The rain keeps falling, not enough to flood, not enough to cleanse, just enough to mark what's been done. Gentle, constant, like the mountain is whispering goodbye to itself. The ash that once clung to my arms dissolves in rivulets down my skin. The lines of blood become soft, smudged, no longer sharp enough to belong to war. We are no longer warriors. We are what remains after war leaves. I lie still, watching the sky flicker gray through the slow drag of smoke. The storm isn't angry. It's not punishment. It feels more like punctuation, like a story being sealed closed by weather itself. The king is still seated, though even he bows now, not just in body, but in posture. The weight has caught up with him. It has caught up with all of us. The bowl is gone. Nothing remains where it once stood but a scorched ring, ringed by rain-darkened stone. Whatever was meant to be offered has been received. Whatever gods watched this place have either turned away or leaned in closer. Some of the Persians have begun to depart, quietly, like guests leaving a vigil, their steps respectful, armor quiet. They don't carry trophies. They don't sing. I wonder what stories they'll tell about us, if they'll mention the bread, the boy, the silence, or if we'll become something else in their mouths. Monsters, martyrs, myths. Someone near me groans, alive, barely. I crawl toward the sound, a thespian. Face bloodied, eyes closed, lips twitching in something like a smile. He coughs once, then opens one eye. Still here? He rasps. I nod. He chuckles. Shame. Was hoping to be the last. We sit beside each other for a while, breathing. He speaks again, voice thinner. My name was Keeman. He looks at me, waiting. I think of saying mine, then stop. Not because I don't remember, but because I like that he never knew it. Because this wasn't a story of names. It was a story of standing. And standing doesn't need a signature. He dies with his eyes open. I close them for him, gently. The rain does the rest. Washes him clean. And then something shifts. The king rises, or tries to. His legs shake. His knees don't quite lock, but his hands find the spear again. He leans on it, and he rises. He turns, not to the pass, but to us. His eyes meet mine. For a moment, I forget I'm broken. Forget the pain, the fatigue, the blood. Because in that glance, he says everything I've ever needed to hear. You held. You mattered. You were the wall. He raises his spear, not in victory, not in defiance, in recognition of us, of the dead, of the ones who ran, and the ones who stayed. Then he drives it down, one last time, into the stone. It stays upright. He doesn't. He kneels beside it and does not move again. The rain strengthens. The flames behind us hiss and curl, giving way to steam. Smoke becomes mist. The world cools, and I realize there is no enemy anymore. There is only memory. I look at my hands, open them, let the sword slide away. It hits the stone with the softest sound, and is gone. The mountain breathes again, not like before, not in fire, but in fog, in silence. And for the first time since dawn, I let myself fall sideways, not in defeat, in release. I lie on the stone, eyes to the sky, arms wide. The rain soaks through my tunic, then my bones. And still, I do not shiver. I do not speak. I only breathe. Because the line is gone. But I am still here. And I was the line. I don't know how long I lie there. Time has lost its sharpness, its habit of counting. The mountain no longer keeps track. The sun is somewhere, but not for me. I exist now in a soft, colorless hour, an hour that doesn't end, but simply fades. The rain gentles again, just a fine mist now, whispering across the stone, washing the last war sounds away. A few figures still move, not many. One of them steps over the remains of a shield, mine, I think, and pauses beside me. I don't look up. I just wait, breath steady, body motionless, not out of fear, but out of surrender to stillness. Then I feel it, something pressed into my palm, a piece of cloth. I curl my fingers around it without thinking. It's damp, rough, familiar in the way only forgotten things can be. It's part of a cloak, Spartan red, though now it's more earth than color. I open my eyes. The figure is gone, but the cloth remains. I press it to my lips and breathe through it, and for a moment, I smell warmth, smoke, oil, the barest trace of lavender. Someone once wore this before me. Maybe even someone who laughed. Maybe even someone who wasn't afraid. I sit up again, slowly. My body doesn't scream this time. It's grown quiet, respectful. It knows we're almost done. The past is scattered now. Not chaotic, just rearranged. Like a room after a ceremony, where the guests have gone but the candles still flicker low, and someone forgot to put the chairs back. The enemy is almost gone. They haven't taken anything. No shields, no names. They've left what we gave them untouched. The stand, the silence, the stone where the bowl once sat, the spear still planted in the center, the king beside it, still unmoved. I rise, not for battle, for ritual. My bare feet meet the stone without sound. I walk past the bodies, our own, theirs, indistinguishable now in the wet dust. The rain has softened everything, even the lines between sides. At the spear, I stop. The king leans forward, hand still resting on the shaft, eyes closed. A sentinel, a statue made of breath and iron. I reach for the base of the spear and place the cloth there, wrapping it once, just enough to let it hang. It ripples in the breeze, tired but proud. A gesture, not a flag, a farewell. And then I kneel. I don't know why. No one told me to. But my knees meet the earth like they were always meant to. I bow my head, place my hand on the ground, and wait. For what? I don't know. The sound of birds? The sun returning? The The end? It doesn't come. But something else does. Footsteps. Not many, but more than one. Behind me, beside me, others. Still alive. Still here. They kneel too. One lays down a helm beside the spear. Another presses their forehead to the ground. Another places a hand on my shoulder and leaves it there. I don't turn. I don't speak. We stay like that. Together. The last full breath of a people who refused to vanish quietly. And in that stillness, I understand something I hadn't before. We weren't holding the pass. The pass was holding us. It shaped our feet. It taught our lungs to burn. It swallowed our names so we could become something more than named things. Not heroes, not martyrs, just moments, unyielding. I let my hand slip from the stone. I lie back one final time. My eyes drift toward the edge of the cliff, where the mist parts just enough to show the sea. A single gull cuts across the gray. It doesn't cry. It just flies. And in that shape, in that flight, I feel something ease inside me. Something long wound. Something ancient. Something ready. We are no longer the wall. We are the echo. There's a hush now that lives beneath the rain. Not absence, not silence, but a kind of listening. The kind of stillness that comes when a great voice has just finished speaking, and no one dares say a word in its wake. The sea is clearer now. The mist has thinned. The ash has settled. And in the distance, I can see the water moving. It doesn't crash or churn. It just drifts, like it's rocking something to sleep. I wonder if the Gulf knows what's happened here. If the tide carries stories. If it will touch the shores of Persia or Athens or home and whisper of a bowl, a coin, a red scrap of cloth fluttering on a buried spear. The others haven't moved. The ones who remain. They've become part of the mountain's shape now. Bent, seated, stretched against stone. No one speaks. There is no need. We are finished with language. What we had to say, we said with standing. I close my eyes. The fire is gone. The heat, too. What remains is warmth. The kind that settles in bones after long effort, like the afterglow of purpose. I feel it in my chest, like a final breath that doesn't need to leave. There is a crunch of gravel to my right, a soft one, measured. I open my eyes and turn. A child, no older than 10. Hair damp, skin pale, tunic clinging to thin shoulders. He's barefoot. His eyes search every face, not with fear, but with deep, quiet understanding. Like he's looking for something he isn't sure he'll recognize until he finds it. He walks to the king, looks up at him, then sits beside him, cross-legged, like it's the most ordinary thing in the world. He doesn't speak, doesn't move again, just keeps his eyes on the spear. He belongs to no army, not ours, not theirs. But something about him feels old, like he's been here longer than we have. Maybe he's the mountain's memory, or its witness. I watch him for a long time, and for the first time today, I smile. Not big, just enough for the corners of my lips to remember they can move that way. Another soldier approaches, not Persian, not Thespian, not even armored, just a man, from somewhere else. He kneels at the edge of the old fire pit and begins to draw something in the ash with a broken stick. A circle, a second one beside it, then a line, then 3 dots. He doesn't explain. But the child nods, like he understands. I rise again, though every muscle aches against the thought. I walk slowly over to where he draws, and I kneel too. There, beside his shapes in the ash, I make my own mark. Not a symbol, just a line. A single, straight, downward line. And suddenly others are drawing too. Lines, marks, little maps of memory. Soon the stone is covered in soft, temporary symbols, things the rain will wash away in minutes. But still, we make them, because something in us needs to record, even when we know it won't last, especially then. A boy's voice speaks, not the child, someone else. I think they'll find this place. The words are so soft I almost don't notice them. I turn to see who spoke, but they're already gone, melted back into the mist. But the sentence stays with me, and I find myself whispering in reply. Let them. Let them find what we chose not to hide. Not a monument, not bones, not blood, but this, the quiet, the open hands, the shape of rest, the story you feel before you understand. We've left no flag, we've built no statue, but the mountain will remember, and so will I, until I forget, until forgetting becomes peace. And in that forgetting, something else begins. A future, maybe. A child, walking down from the cliffs with a question no one can answer. A whisper in another tongue that carries the word Thermopylae, like it's not a place, but a feeling. A small stone in a new bowl, left on a hill. For no one in particular. Just in case someone remembers how to stand. The day refuses to end. It stretches, quiet and gray, beyond what I thought a day could hold. It's like time, too, has stopped to kneel here. Not to mourn, but to witness. The kind of stillness that only happens once. The kind that reshapes memory even as it's being made. My limbs are dust-heavy now, not with pain, just presence. Every bone inside me feels accounted for, as if the mountain has taken inventory of us all and written our names in stone. Whether we live to speak them or not, I rise again. Not from duty, from rhythm. There's a pull in my chest, slow, sure, like tide to moon. It leads me across the pass, past sleeping men and empty shields and sword hilts planted like markers in the earth. I pass the feather, the cloth, the spot where the bowl turned to ash. Each one still holds its own silence. Each one, somehow, still warm. The boy is still there, sitting beside the king, legs crossed, spine straight. I glance his way, half expecting him to speak, but he doesn't. His gaze is locked on the spear, on the cloth tied there, still fluttering gently like it's whispering to the sky. A crow lands on the rocks above, watches us, cocks its head, doesn't call. Even the birds respect this moment. I walk beyond them now, toward the far end of the pass, toward the place where the mountain narrows again, where the cliffs lean in like they're listening. A place that once looked like escape, and now looks like a final breath. I reach it. No one follows. I turn back. And from this angle, from this height, I see it all. The spear, the scattered circle of warriors, the symbols etched in the dust, the crown of mist resting like a soft wreath above us all. It looks like a prayer no one dared speak aloud. And for a moment, I wonder, was this always meant to happen? Not as fate, but as memory's demand. A place to anchor something deeper than a name. A place to remind the world that holding ground is not about victory. It's about refusal. I crouch and touch the stone beneath my feet. It's cool, slick with rain. I press my palm to it, hoping, just once, to feel something pulse back. It does. A slow, steady hum. Faint, but there. I close my eyes, and in that hum I feel the boy's breath on the first morning, the bread passed in silence, the shield line humming in unison, the king's voice, not giving orders, but sharing presence, the bowl warming beneath the sun, the coin, the stone, the cloth, the ring, the feather. The moment my blade hit the ground and did not bounce. The mountain remembering us, When I open my eyes, the rain has stopped. The sky is pale, almost silver. There is no sun, no shadow, just a smooth, colorless light, like dawn before birth, and something new, a breeze, cold, clean, from the sea. It reaches us slowly, threading between stones and bodies and fallen wood. It finds the broken shields, the king's cloak, the soot where the fire once burned, and it breathes for us. I turn away from the edge and return to the others, not to speak, just to be. I lower myself again beside the king, beside the boy. He doesn't look at me, but he leans slightly closer. It's enough. Together we sit and let the breeze move past us. It doesn't push. It doesn't demand. It simply passes, as if to say, "You did not fall." And I whisper back, barely louder than the wind, "We didn't. We never did. We only stopped standing when standing became sky. There's no more waiting. Not for death, not for rescue, not even for sleep. Whatever we were waiting for, we've become it. The ground beneath me feels less like stone now, more like part of me, like I've grown roots through my knees. My breath has softened into the wind's rhythm. I inhale when it exhales. I move only when it allows. The boy beside me finally speaks. Only 2 words. I see. He doesn't say what. Doesn't need to. I know. He sees what we became, what we allowed ourselves to be shaped into, by sweat, by fire, by refusal, by the simple act of not stepping back. Even when stepping back would have meant survival, even when holding meant breaking. He leans his head against my shoulder, not out of fatigue, but recognition. We are not strangers here. We are stone and wind and echo. I reach into the folds of my tunic and pull out something I'd forgotten I had. A thread, red, frayed, from my first cloak, before I earned the full one. I'd kept it out of habit, tucked away like a talisman. I never wore it, never needed it. But now, I wrap it gently around the boy's wrist. A simple loop, a single knot. He watches silently, then nods once, solemn, not as a child, as a witness. A wind picks up again, brushing across the past like fingers turning the last page of a book. The air is different now, cleaner, not just less smoky, less heavy. Like the place itself is lighter somehow, like it has exhaled. The king's head has lowered further now, chin resting on his chest. His hand still grips the spear, but lightly, like a father holding the last hand of a child long grown. I rise, just once more, to see, to mark, to carry something back. Not a story, a weight. I step carefully among the others, some curled, some slumped, some sitting upright in states between breath and memory. They are statues without marble, paintings done in ash, and yet all of them are beautiful, because they remained, because they were the line, and now, so am I. Even if I walk away from this place, even if I vanish into fields far beyond these cliffs, even if no one ever believes me, this ridge, this stone, this wind, they will always carry my outline. I pause near a soldier from another city, Thespian. His hand rests atop a folded note. I don't read it. I just press it flatter into the earth, so it won't blow away. Beside him is a carving in the dirt, a spiral, half finished. I complete it, not for meaning, just for closure. The mountain watches me do it. I feel its presence in the subtle shift of breeze, the sudden stilling of birds. And then I know. It's time. Not because I'm told, because nothing more can be added. I walk to the narrowest point of the pass, where the cliffs almost touch, where our stand began. First turn, one last time, and look back. The spear, the boy, the king, the circle of fallen men, the cloth on the wind, and the sense that this place is no longer battlefield, but shrine. We were not here to win. We were here to hold. And now, this ground holds us. I place one hand on the rock wall beside me. Smooth, cool, worn by centuries of wind. I lean close and whisper, "We were here." And the stone answers, not with words, with warmth, a faint thrum under my palm, like a heartbeat that isn't mine. I step through the pass and let the mountain close behind me. I don't hear it, but I feel it. The moment I'm no longer inside the story, but carrying it. As I descend the path, I press one palm to my chest, just to be sure. It's still beating, still mine, but not mine alone. Now it beats with the rhythm of a line that refused to fall. The path down is steep, but not cruel. It winds like a memory, soft at the edges, carved not by blades but by footsteps that came before. I feel each stone beneath my feet, each patch of moss and root. They greet me like old friends who knew I'd return, even if I never meant to. Behind me, the pass fades into mist. The spear, the boy, the final stand, they vanish from sight, but not from me. They live in the back of my ribs now, in the hollows behind my eyes. Every step I take is carrying them forward. I reach a lower ledge, where the sea finally opens itself to the sky. The water gleams pale gold beneath the lifting clouds, no longer gray, no longer hiding. A gull cuts low over the surf, its wings stretched wide, quiet. No one speaks here either. The world holds its breath, not in fear, in reverence. I sit on a flat stone, tuck my legs beneath me and let the last heat of the day sink into my skin. My clothes are damp, stiff with salt and ash, but I don't mind. The body I brought into the pass is not the one I bring out. That one stayed there. This one carries silence. From this distance, I can just make out movement on the coast far below. Villagers, maybe, or soldiers returning to their camps. Their torches flicker like stars, learning how to rise again. They don't see me, but I see them. And I wonder, when they ask what happened in the pass, who will answer? When the messengers tell of bravery and death and Persian arrows darkening the sky, will anyone speak of the bread shared before the first strike? Of the red thread? Of the boy who never ran? I pick up a smooth stone from the ground beside me. It fits my palm perfectly. I turn it over, slowly, then carve a single line into it with the tip of a broken blade. My last blade, dull and bent. It takes time. The stone resists, but eventually, the line holds. Not a word, just a line. Straight, unbroken, like us. I place the stone on the edge of the cliff, not hidden, not marked, just there, for someone to find. Maybe tomorrow, maybe 100 years from now, maybe never, but still, left. Because that's all we ever wanted, wasn't it? To leave something that said, we were here, we mattered, we held. A warm breeze rises from the sea, lifting my hair, drying the edge of my sleeves. I close my eyes and let it pass through me. I think of my brothers, the ones who stood beside me, their hands, their shouts, their laughter under the stars. I hear their breaths, feel the weight of their shields pressed against mine. I remember their silence after the final cry. They're with me now, not ghosts, not dreams. Just presence. They were never behind me. They are beneath me. Within me. They are the line. And as long as I walk, so does it. I rise one final time, stretch the ache from my shoulders, and begin to walk inland, away from the sea, toward the olive groves and fields where the world does not know what we did. But someday, someone might. Because I will carry the story gently, and when the time is right, I will tell it. Not in shouts, not in speeches, but in small moments. A hand held too long, a silence before sleep, a stone placed where no stone was before. Because you don't shout a story like this, you breathe it. And so I do, and so I go. So now, let it fade. Let the sound of spears drift far behind your thoughts. Let the rain on ancient stone become the hush that wraps around your breath. There is no more battle, no more edge to hold, no need to stand or march or wait. You've walked the pass. You've stood in the bowl of the mountain where silence was shaped into memory. You've felt the weight of shield and heat and brotherhood, not because you needed to fight, but because you needed to remember what holding means. Now the wind is soft again. The mist is rising. The sea is far, and you are further. Let your chest rise, slow and unhurried. Let your fingers uncurl. That red thread still lingers, doesn't it? Around your wrist. Soft, worn, a reminder, not of war, but of witness. You didn't vanish. You became part of the stone, part of the line. And now, that line lies down, not in defeat, in rest. So breathe with me now, one last time. Slow, even slower. The spear is still there, you know, deep in the cliff's heart, wrapped in cloth, unseen but not forgotten. A quiet promise left for the future, for the wind, for you. Sleep now. There's nothing more to hold. You've been to Thermopylae. You've watched the line blur between what stood and what still echoes. You've been there. Now come back slowly. Back to your body. Back to your room. Back to your breath.